Yo, what's up everybody, it's your boy LVS Void coming in with a new what if on the channel, which is what if Naruto was Tengen Uzui. So this is a very popular new character in the Demon Slayer anime that's actually happening right now. Season 2, I'm pretty sure it's like nearly finished at this point. If not already completely finished with the Entertainment District arc. So yeah, I just wanted to do a what if on it, as Tengen is actually one of my favorite characters, just by his design and sound breathing as a whole is very cool, and also his shinobi background would probably be a massive influence on what in the Naruto world in general. So yeah, let's just get right into this. Overall, the beginning of the what ifs I do for new characters and new what ifs, I usually go over their powers and their personality before, in Demon Slayer, with Tengen being a very flashy individual, always wanting to be, flamboyant, and proceeding to always need to be flashy and outstanding, even proclaiming that he is God, the god of flashiness and festivals. This will be put in a certain way into Naruto with his reincarnation into the Naruto series as Naruto, as it'll greatly change Naruto's personality as well as his powers. With Tengen's actual abilities, he has a very enhanced hearing, with him being able to have his with his heightened senses be able to hear similar to that of Zenitsu, like those type of abilities. With his ability also being able to allow him to easily hear noises deep underground, as well as being able to immediately discern that there are channels like underground tunnels of caves directly beneath him. With all that, he also has echolocation as well as musical score, which basically allows him to have a precognition of the patterns of attacks, with him being able to use this in conjunction with sound breathing to analyze combat and maneuvers and deconstructions the rhythm of the enemy's attacks. So yeah, it's kind of like a hearing Sharingan kind of type of thing. But yeah, let's just get right into it. We start this what if just like any other Naruto what if, with Naruto's birth. With Naruto, who had just recently been born in an off-site location away from Konoha, as the threat of Kushina releasing the Nine Tails was an actual threat of the village itself, as through the pregnancy, the Nine Tails seal had started to weaken during birth, and would even weaken to a point where the Nine Tails could possibly escape during childbirth. With Naruto now being born, his overall, appearance would be drastically kind of changed from what it is in the original. With Naruto still having his signature looks and stuff like that, there'll be one different appearance-wise change, and that would be his hair. Instead of his original blonde hair, he would have white hair, which would be the exact same as Minato's at that time, with him having very light-colored grey hair, which from his father would also have white hair, and eventually this would come back into the genes of Naruto. With his hair being white, he'd be an absolute carbon copy of Minato in that area. With that also being said, with Minato now seeing the child, there would be a screen down the hallway with Obito, who is masked right now, hiding himself as Madara Uchiha, would come in, slaughtering all the nurses at that time, as well as murdering the third Hokage's wife, now leaving him a widower. With Obito using his Kamui, would teleport, grabbing Naruto and threatening Minato that if he doesn't give him the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, then he will murder his son. With the same thing happening in the original, Minato would use the Flying Thunder God and take back Naruto, but evidently he would not be able to save Kushina, and Obito would take Kushina to the extraction zone, and where he would then extract the Nine Tails from Kushina and would put it into a summoning pact, casting a genjutsu over the Nine Tails with his one Sharingan, Mangekyo Sharingan to be exact. With Minato now taking the baby Naruto, he would leave him into a different separate house far away from the village, but still in the village vicinity, and would flash back to where Kushina is and find out that she is on a death's door, as the Ninetales was forcibly ripped out of her seal and she is about to die. With Minato now realizing that the Ninetales has been resummoned into the village and is now causing havoc, he would go towards his Hokage responsibilities, putting on his coat and getting ready to battle the Ninetales. As we all know what happens in the original, timeline, Minato would face off the Ninetales and seal the Bijudamas that are launched off towards the village, but because he knows that he needs to have the Ninetales in the village as a type of deterrent of the entire situation, after battling with Obito and defeating him, with him leaving as well, Minato would then strike the idea to seal half the Ninetales inside of his son, as his wife is about to die, and he cannot seal the Biju inside his wife, as that would leave Konoha without the Ninetales, and so he leaves the decision just to himself and decides to use the Reaper Death Seal to seal half the Ninetales inside of himself, as well as the other half inside of Naruto. With the same thing happening in the original, the Kurama, the Ninetales, would stab both Kushina and Minato, trying to kill the child before he is forcibly sealed again into a new Jinchuriki. As we all know what happens, Minato would succeed in this, and Naruto would now become the Jinchuriki of the Ninetales of the village. With Hiruzen, who was watching all this from a ceiling array that was placed around the vicinity so that the Ninetales couldn't wreak even more havoc, he would talk to Minato, and Minato in this timeline would have a bit longer to live, as I'll just say for plot convenience, as this is what will lead to Naruto and his further future in Konoha. With Minato, I don't know if you guys can hear this playing. With Minato, who is now speaking to Hiruzen, but his wife Kushina is now already dead, he would tell Hiruzen that he needs to treat Naruto with as a child of the village and not like just some random orphan, as he knows that his enemies will go after Naruto, but he needs to keep Naruto a secret, but still give him enough love in the village, as he tells Hiruzen of the responsibilities of being a Jinchuriki, and that if Naruto is in a bad sense of mental state, that the Ninetales could actually react to the seal and could be let out once again. He would also tell Hiruzen that he is leaving all of his his money and properties to Naruto, and to at least give a lot of the money to him in his childhood, and make sure he has proper caretakers so that Naruto can have a proper childhood, even though he doesn't have his parents with him anymore. With now that being said, Hiruzen would agree to this, taking the child and leaving, with later in the a couple weeks after would have the funeral for Minato and Kushina. With the village now thinking that Naruto is the Ninetales, through Danzo's interference, they would Hiruzen would tell the Shinobi Council as well as the Civilian Council that it is true that Naruto is the Jinchuriki, but he must be treated with love and respect, as he is holding back the Ninetales and stopping it from releasing it in the village, and that he doesn't mention that he's Minato's son, but he says that Minato entrusted this baby to the village to help secure its safety in the village, and that he wants the baby to be treated with respect like any other loving child of the village. With a lot of the Civilian Council still not believing this entire situation, but the Shinobi Council saying that this child is their savior, the people in the council would have a half and half reaction to this, as I just said, with half of them wanting to make sure Naruto is safe and happy during his childhood, and that even later in life he can decide to become a ninja of the village, as well as a lot of the other civilian members, but not all of them in this scenario, would want to treat Naruto with respect and love. But a lot of the other people in high authority there, who had lost a lot of their business during the Ninetales attack, as well as a lot of their family members, would want to have Naruto killed off early, as they still don't have a full understanding on the sealings of the the A-trigram seal and the Reaper Death Seal, as that there are S-rank sealings, and they don't understand what a Jinchuriki really is. With Hiruzen, thinking that this is like common knowledge and stuff, he wouldn't explain the seals properly, that, like he did in the original, with everyone still having the fear of Naruto. And that would really be Naruto's birth and the day of the Nine-Tails attack. We'll skip forth 4 years. And Naruto's first 4 years in his childhood would be dramatically different from what it was in the original, with a lot of the shinobi, that being people from the shinobi council and clans and such, would be treating Naruto not like a pharaoh, but as a prince of the village, and Naruto's personality would definitely differ to what it was in the original. With Naruto, who is now, surrounded by love and respect, as well as praise from the people that are around him, he would start to have a personality change, and thinking that these people have high expectations for him and would want to be a flashy individual, as he's always being handed new things, new toys, as Minato did give a lot of his, his entire inheritance to Naruto at an early age. So Naruto would have a lot of servants, but, he wouldn't treat them as servants. He would still treat them with, a caring fashion like normal Naruto does. Naruto would start to pick up on a lot of things, and start to pick up these 2 blades which he got from training during one of the shinobis that came to practice with him. Not only practice, but take care of him, as a mission from, the third Hokage, in which they would have complied, saying that, it's an honor to be with Naruto, as he is the savior of the village. With the law still being bound, no one is allowed to really talk about Naruto being the Jinchuriki, as Hiruzen still, like the original, doesn't want Naruto to be isolated from a lot of the other children of the village, and wants Naruto have a kind of normal childhood, but because, he is kind of from the royalty of the village, being the son of the 4th Hokage, as well as one of the heirs to the Uzumaki clan, who are nearly extinct, would still have to be treated as a prince, someone from royal blood, as you'd kind of put it. From an early age, Naruto would be trained in the shinobi arts, saying that he wants to become the Hokage, as it seemed to be the flashiest and most flamboyant rank in all of the shinobi accords, because they are the strongest, they can do whatever they want. With Naruto, who is now still being trained from an early age, he would start to practice with poisons and start to, because of also having the Nine-Tails and his enhanced healing from the Uzumakis as well as from the Nine-Tails itself, Naruto would start to become nearly completely immune to poisons entirely, with Naruto also noticing that he has an extreme hearing, being able to hear things from microscopic sounds to being able to hear from miles away. This is because, he is Tengen's reincarnation, and these powers are a definite power up to Naruto's full-on skill. With Naruto, who, has his servants and maids by his side all the time, during nights and, mornings, basically a 24/7 type of service, as there's always someone who would take care of Naruto. His diet would be dramatically changed, and his height and muscle structure would be greatly enhanced, with him being a much taller boy than what he was in the original, being very tall compared to everyone else's age, as well as having a slight starting to grow broad shoulders, as well as starting to have a few defining muscles on his body, like in his arms and stomach and legs and such. With Naruto's hair, it would start to grow out even more, and would grow in an uneven length, with long strands that would reach his shoulders, and is styled in with 3 more notable, shorter clumps, arching up to fall as bangs between his eyes and on the other side of his face. With Naruto as well, during his daily routine, would start to paint stuff over his eye, and would have the, if you've seen Tengen, on his left eye he does have the red paint, which is kind of like a star. With Naruto having this type of facial structure and his imperviously good looks, a lot of the females in the village would start to create a fan club for Naruto, which would starting at a young age would be the exact same type of size as what Sasuke's is, with a lot of the village younger girls falling in love with Naruto at first sight. With Naruto, who still is, a flashy individual, he would have a lot of jewelry on him at all times, and would always carry his two little short swords, which he had gotten from some of the Anbu that had come and taken care of him, as well as the other type of tuning and genin that come during their missions and such to take care of Naruto and train him for personal trainings, which are given out by the third Hokage, as he did still get the inherited will from the fourth and has the amount of money to continue giving these missions to these genin and tuning to take care of Naruto. With Naruto, who doesn't know his heritage at all, doesn't know why people are treating him, he would just accept this for him being, real cool and flashy, and wouldn't think much of it. We'll kind of skip another 3 years, with, I think at the age of 7, that is the Uchiha Massacre. With that being the same, Naruto would be put into the academy, and as such, would have his fangirls around him nearly 24/7, as they are always in the classroom and watching over Naruto. Some major differences in the academy in Naruto's early days is Naruto would, already have his massive fan group, but would start to be going towards the top of the class, as Naruto had a lot of teachers during his early days growing up, and he would be incredibly more smart than what he is in the original, not being a dunce, but instead being very intelligent for his age. As well as in different trainings in the academy, like the one-on-one matches, Naruto would be able to absolutely dominate everybody, being not really trained shinobi clansmen, but the children of the heads of clans, but also obviously the civilian children, with half the civilian children not wanting to be friends with Naruto, and the other half wanting to be Naruto's friend greatly, as their families are all split in half, that being some who love Naruto for being the savior of the village and holding back the beast from destroying the village once again, and the other half who want to get rid of Naruto once and for all, as they think and believe that once they kill Naruto, the beast will go down with him. With that being said, another 3 years would pass, and Naruto at the age of 10 would want to do the final test exam, but wouldn't be allowed by the third Hokage, saying that he's definitely not strong enough, that even though he can do the 3 signature jutsu, that is the clone jutsu, the transformation jutsu, as well as the switch in place jutsu, I forgot what it's called. Hiruzen would say that he should train more into his swords, as Naruto does enjoy playing, not only playing, but training with these 2 short-bladed swords that he always carries around him. And he carries these around as they're flashy, as they're big blades, and they look pretty shiny and cool. With Naruto saying that he does want to learn all about this stuff, Hiruzen would instruct a different Kenjutsu teacher, that being someone as a trained Anbu. One of his personal guards who had trained in swordsmanship. He would instruct the Anbu to train Naruto for the next 3 years, but not go real hard on him, but instead, teach him the basics so that he can learn and create new techniques for himself that would be good for, his enhanced hearing, which Hiruzen would have found out that Naruto's hearing is just on another level, being able to, tell that Naruto has a technical echolocation, being able to, using his hearing, added in an advanced application, could basically use echolocation to find everything in certain, buildings, as what bats do. With Naruto, who for the next 3 years would have trained during his swordsmanship, his overall abilities would have greatly increased, being able to have now, a much greater speed and reflexes. His stamina and endurance would have been greatly improved as well as his immense strength that he already had. With Naruto, who'd also, learned of the muscle control, he's able to, control his muscles to a certain extent, being able to, move his blood around in a certain way to increase his heart rate to, get adrenaline, I think as you say it. With his training, his shinobi training as well, he'd be very, inclined to use kunais and different type of ninja techniques, as well as using certain poisons that coat the blades to enhance, his fighting capabilities, so that he can poison his enemies and kill them with swiftly and, easy. With Naruto, as we know in the original, is a very stealthy boy. And now, with proper training, his stealth would be enhanced to a great extent, with him being able to, easily sneak through the arm boot at any stage as he wants, as well as, his poison resistance. As I talked about, at the age of 4, he was able to, nearly become completely immune to poisons. With Naruto as well, conforming all of the different techniques as well that he has, and utilizing his enhanced hearing, he would start to create sound breathing, in which he created as a alternative to something he read in a book, that being sun breathing. He would learn that in ancient times, before there was even chakra, people used to use swords and use their breath in different techniques to create different breathing techniques. That being, the I think it's like the first 5, which is water, fire, stone, water, you already know all of them. And he would decide to create a derivative from these said breathing styles, with him creating there's 5 forms in total, but there was only shown to have 3 in the original, which is the first form, raw, the 4th form, constant resounding slashes, and the 5th form, stirring platform. So there's no other actual forms that were shown except for these 3 forms of the 5 forms, but there could be even more. I'll just say there is 3 forms in total that he created, but I'll still use the original names like 5th form and such like that. With Naruto now completely creating a different breathing style, sound breathing, and utilizing it all with his enhanced hearing, he would be able to create different fighting styles, and would soon become a master swordsman, being able to compete on a same type of equivalent level with just swordsmanship with the Ampo member that was teaching him for the last 3 years. With the last year of the academy coming around, the scores in Naruto would be much different than what it is in the original, with Naruto always coming first place in all the tests, that being intelligence tests, as well as the physical tests and all the other fighting tests. With Mizuki, who is will be different in this time around. Instead of absolutely hating Naruto, he would still have his his greedy tendencies, and would want to still go and leave the village to go worship Orochimaru, but he wouldn't plan on taking Naruto down to get the scroll of sealing, but instead he would still actually there'll be a certain reason why I'm doing this. With Naruto, who still does the test and graduates from the academy, he would get his headband and immediately put it on his forehead, as that's where he's going to be putting it, and immediately go to a workshop to have certain beads and flashy accessories be put on it, as he still wants to be flamboyant and extra. With Naruto being 13, he would still have the immense fan group that he always had, but he still, he would look out for them, but he wouldn't fully like anybody except for one girl, that being Ino, as well as Hinata. I'll say 2 girls because they're my favorite. Anyway, with Naruto liking Hinata and Ino extremely, not so much Sakura, as he says that she has a massive forehead and her pink hair isn't really flamboyant. It does look kind of cool, but it's kind of like ugly, not gonna lie. With during the academy years as well, Naruto would have built a great relationship with Hinata and Ino as well, with Ino not being love-struck with Sasuke, but instead Naruto. And Naruto at this time would still want to have many wives, as he is from the Uzumaki clan, in which he asked his the third Hokage, and that he actually is from a clan that is nearly extinct and would want to repopulate their clan, deciding that he'll definitely go into the CRA and have many wives to restart his already dead clan. With that being said, with Naruto, doing all that type of shenanigans, Naruto would end the day with passing the test, and all the original people that passed the test would also pass the test as well. With Naruto going off, he'd be stopped by Mizuki and would be told that there is an extra part of the test that he needs to do, as it is a stealth test to steal the scroll of sealing that is locked in the third Hokage's personal library in the Hokage Tower. That needs to steal it and bring it to him to pass the final test. With Naruto, who kind of knows that this is a lie, as he knows how important the scroll of sealing is, as he's heard from his grandfather, the third Hokage, about it many times during his times that he stayed in the third Hokage's office, would know that this is a trap, but still wants to learn a few more things that he can in the scroll of sealing. With Naruto deciding that this is a kind of win-win scenario for him, as he won't be blamed for stealing the scroll of sealing, but instead, would be treated as someone who didn't know better and was just following the lead of someone who he trusted greatly, which couldn't be as wrong as they said, as Naruto didn't trust Mizuki at all during the 6 years, 5 years that he was in the academy for. With Naruto and his master stealth, would easily be able to sneak into the Hokage Tower, but like in the original, I think Hiruzen would immediately be able to sense where Naruto is and understand what's kind of happening right now. But Naruto, who had after stealing the scroll sealing, would use his sexy jutsu on Hiruzen, immediately knocking him out, with Hiruzen, bleeding from the nose and immediately falling over on his back, passing out from the nude underage boy that he just saw. I mean, that was crazy, man. I don't understand why these people are passing out from the 13-year-old who used a sexy jutsu. Come on. And it even worked on Kaguya. That's just crazy. With Naruto now going towards the forest of death. I think it's the forest. I think it's just a random forest, honestly. He would go there and open the scroll of sealing and start to learn different jutsus there. That being one of them is the Flying Thunder God, which I'll say it's in there, but we don't know for certain. He would learn all this stuff, and using a photographic memory, which I'll just give Naruto for, pity's sake. He would also, he would learn everything that's in the Scroll of Sealing, as well as learning the Shadow Clone Jutsu, in which he would say that this is a much better alternative than the Jutsu that he already has right now. From, Naruto now, he would start to learn the Kage Bunshin, the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and be able to master it in less than an hour, as he is much smarter and more adept in using chakra than he is in the original. As I said before, he would have had more training than anybody else, really, at a younger age, as he had many different Chunin, Jonin, and, a few Genin, but, not a lot, as well as a whole bunch of Anbu members training him from a young age. With Naruto now using now learning all the other jutsus inside of the Scroll of Sealing, those will come later, and they'll all kind of be, sound based, as I'll leave it for different times. You could also leave in the comments if you want different type of sound jutsus that you want to be implemented for Naruto in this. With that being said, Mizuki would then come out of the corner, landing on a tree, telling Naruto to hand the Scroll of Sealing over to him, but Naruto would tell Mizuki that that's not really going to happen, and he knows what Mizuki is doing. With Mizuki, who now has a smirk on his face, would say that he's going to take the Scroll of Sealing from him by force then, if he's not going to hand it over, and that if he continues to do this, he'll probably just kill the boy. With Naruto, who was smiling and telling Mizuki that he's not flashy enough to grab and kill him, that he needs to become a god to be able to do anything of him. With Naruto now, he would unsheath the two blades that are strapped to his back, and would immediately use and showcase the first form, Raw, in which he would immediately blitz over to where Mizuki is and lift the two swords above his head and slam them down with great force onto Mizuki, which would create an explosion with his bombs to deal massive physical damage to Mizuki, blasting him away and making massive cuts and basically exploding his body in general, creating a massive loud sound that resembles thunder as a result. With that now happening, Mizuki in an instant would have died, with his body being blasted all over the forest and blood be scattered everywhere. With Iruka, who had now come to the scenario that he's just witnessing, he would see Naruto and ask why he did it, with Naruto saying that Mizuki told him this was an extra part of the Genin test, and that he was trying to kill him as a way to take the scroll of sealing and leave the village. With Haruka now understanding what's happening, he would take Naruto back to the Hokage's office and explain the situation, and Naruto would get off with a slap on the wrist, as Hiruzen knows that Naruto is too smart for this and knew exactly what he was doing the entire time, but wouldn't say anything as he didn't want the boy to get in any trouble, as he is still his grandson. So that's where I'm going to leave it off, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed this What If. I will still continue to do the other series. I'm just creating a wider spectrum of different What Ifs that I'll be doing. Yeah, if you have any more What If ideas that you want me doing, put that in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.